Alright, nafuu ya peni mbili ndio gazeti habari kuu kwenye kurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. Na ni ukweli ni peni mbili. Wakenya kuendelea kuumizwa na bei za juu baada ya bei ya mafuta kupungua kidogo tu. Bei za bidhaa na nauli zinatarajiwa kubakia juu baada ya serikali kupunguza bei ya mafuta ya dizeli kwa shilingi 10 na petroli kwa senti 22. Hiyo hata si ndururu. Ndururu ni senti 50. Wale wanaoelewa ndururu ni nini. Dizeli ndio hutumika zaidi kwa shughuli nyingi za uchumi kama vile uchukuzi wa umma na viwandani. Sasa dizeli itauzwa kwa shilingi 222 kwa lita, huku petroli ikiuzwa kwa shilingi kwa shilingi 214 jijini Nairobi. Mafuta ya taa ndio yamesalia kwa shilingi 191 kwa lita. Ndio habari kuu pale kwenye kurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Taifa Leo, gazeti la Mwananchi. Ndio najua kuna gazeti la Mwananchi, lakini Taifa Leo ndio gazeti la Mwananchi hapa nchini. Habari za siasa zimepewa kipaumbele pia kwenye kurasa wa mbele. Haswa habari za Linda Mwananchi, jana walitua Thika. Kinara wa mrengo wa Linda Mwananchi ambaye ni seneta wa Nairobi Edwin Sifuna ampigwa picha pale akihutubia wananchi katika uwanja wa Kivulini Grounds, Kiambu. Viongozi wengine walikuwepo ni Gavana Irungu Kang'ata, Senator Godfrey Osotsi, Gavana wa Siaya James Orengo na Babu Owino. Sasa hii habari ya Linda Mwananchi iko hapa chini kwenye ukurasa wa mbele na bado pale juu, the top strip of this paper. Kang'ata naye aingia Linda Mwananchi. Ampigwa picha pale, ameshikana mkono na seneta wa Vihiga Godfrey Osotsi na seneta wa Siaya James Orengo. Ameinuliwa mkono pale. Wanasema mrengo wa Sifuna wazidi kupanuka baada ya kunasa window jipya Thika jana. Sema big win. Kumbuka ni siku chache tu baada ya aliyekuwa president wa Law Society Faith Odhiambo kujiunga na Linda Mwananchi pia. Tukisalia pale juu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili, wanasema likizo ya Gachagua hatari kwa DCP Olkalao. Kinara wa DCP elekea katika likizo ya siku 45 wa Munyoro. Alikuwa kule magharibi mwa Kenya wikendi, mwisho wa wiki jana. Lakini je, habari kamili ya Olkalao inauliza, will he be involved in the campaigns in Olkalao? Sasa Saba anasema anarejea nyumbani na atakaa kule kwa siku 45. Vidokezo zaidi kwenye kurasa wa mbele. Shule, wazazi wabebeshwa uzigo la migomo. Shule za wapa wazazi masharti makali huku wanafunzi wakirejea shuleni baada ya migomo. Lakini kuna zile shule ambazo hazijafunga, kuna wale wanarejea, lakini wazazi ndio watabeba mzigo. Macho kwa Uhispania na Ubelgiji leo ni mechi za kombe la dunia. Ubelgiji wakutana na Misri na Uhispania wakitarajiwa kuwa na kazi nyepesi dhidi ya Cape Verde. Masuala ya uchumi pia wanazungumzia hapa. Maskwota pwani kupata ardhi ya shilingi bilioni 5. Ni serikali imetenga kiasi kikubwa cha bajeti kwa ajili ya kuwasitiri maskwota wa pwani. Kurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. Vidokezo vingi kweli kweli. Kule nyuma masuala ya kombe la dunia. Mo Salah na Misri kwenye mizani ya Ubelgiji leo. Ivory Coast watafungua siku kwa kumenyana na Ecuador saa 8 asubuhi. Hiyo nafikiri ni kama imeshakwisha na Ivory Coast wakashinda. Nasikia watu wa Manchester wanapiga kelele, lakini hatutazungumzia haya, ni kombe la dunia sasa. Kisha Cape Verde ipambane na Uhispania saa 1 usiku kabla Misri kufunga usiku na Ubelgiji saa 4 baadaye. So timu za Afrika, mataifa mane ya Afrika yataanza kampeni zao za kombe la dunia leo. Hiyo ni Ivory Coast washaanza kwa ushindi, Tunisia watakuwa wa pili, Misri na Cape Verde. Cape Verde pia ni kama Waafrika ama ni Waafrika. Masuala ya kombe la dunia, gazeti la Taifa Leo. Tukienda kwa gazeti nyingine, tuende wapi sasa? Magazeti ni mingi hapa tu, uchaguzi ni wako tu. The Standard, it steers clear of matters politics, talks about internal security, ID cards auctioned auction in Kenya is the tag they have here. This newspaper today exposes a shadowy network through which foreign nationals from Somalia, Ethiopia, Uganda, and other neighboring countries are obtaining Kenyan identity cards for as low as 15,000 shillings. The probe reveals how individuals with questionable backgrounds have acquired the country's most sensitive documents with apparent ease. Yet senior officials at the Department of Immigration and the National Registration Bureau have remained silent, as has Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen. Who is behind the scheme, they ask? Who benefits? And what does it mean for national security and the 2027 elections? This story has been given the spread, pages 6 and 7 of this paper. A big story, Kenyan birthright on auction, inside illegal issuance of identity documents to foreigners. Only 15,000 shillings. You become a bona fide Kenyan. Yeah. So there are pictures of people who should be asked these questions there on the front page of this paper. Kipchumba Murkomen, the CS Interior. Julius Bitok, who's a former PS Immigration, former Education PS, now is in tourism. Kila mali anaenda kuna shida. Anaenda Immigration akitoka kesi. Anaenda Education akitoka kesi. Ushasikia kesi ya tourism. Acha tungoje. The current PS Immigration Bailey Kipsang and Evelyn Chelugeth, the Director General of Immigration. These are the people who should be asked and answer these questions. This main question they're asking here. Who's behind the scheme? Who benefits and what does it mean for national security and the 2027 elections? Remember, there are some people who had expressed fears that probably someone is trying to add to his vote base by giving out IDs. Whether or not it's true, I do not know. Page 2, a very interesting story about a Nakuru teacher who has gotten a green light to challenge Guinness World Record. His name is Fenwick Maloba, a teacher at the Menengai Senior School. Hapo ndo nilienda shule, Menengai. He's aiming to teach for 45 hours non-stop to demystify the subject. He's a maths teacher and prove learners that mathematics is not the monster many learners fear. Wakati wetu, huyu mwalimu anakaa ni kijana tu mchanga. Wakati wetu kule Menengai kulikuwa na mwalimu alikuwa anaitwa, nasahau jina, Musa Mukolwe, one of the best mathematics teachers. So definitely that school has good teachers in as far as mathematics is concerned. How Elon Musk's trillionaire status dwarfs Kenya's 4.82 trillion shilling budget. This is a very interesting story about the owner of X and SpaceX and Tesla. So on Friday morning, Kenyans woke up contemplating the sobering realities of the national budget. Ours is 4.82 trillion shillings. Anasema, if Elon Musk gave you $1 million, $1 million is about 129 million Kenyan shillings every day to spend, it would take 100 years to exhaust his fortune. Imagine, akupe 129 million shillings kila siku. He would need 100 years kuimaliza. He can actually fund our budget. His kama budget yetu ni 4.8 trillion. This man is worth 142.3 trillion. He can fund our budget for like 25 straight years, or he can fund the entire African budget. Other stories, Kulendani of the Standard, State House spent 11.6 billion in 9 months. Yeah. And they're talking about the spending fallacy. Supplementary budgets apparently water down main plan. So during the budget, they tell you one thing, then a few months later, they come with a supplementary and it ignores the entire plan. To the back page, Matters World Cup, given FIFA World Cup. Ancelotti says his players were nervous as Morocco hold Brazil. Yeah, Morocco walifanya kazi nzuri. Najua Afrika wajafurahia sana na Morocco, especially after that boardroom decision to deny Senegal the Africa Cup of Nations, wakapatia Morocco. But at least imagine drawing with Brazil at the World Cup. It's no mean feat. Those are AFCON champions, Morocco. Najua utanikasirikia lakini ni ukweli. Hao ndio wanafaa kuwa na kikombe. Senegal walinyang'anywa lakini wakakatalia kikombe. Si yao. All right, that's a standard. Hey, punguza hasira kwanza, punguza hasira. Watu wa Man U bado wako na hasira nyingi sana. Let's take a look at the Daily Nation. On the Daily Nation this morning, rapists roam free as DCI hunt Gen Z. This is an indication that there's no single main talking point in Kenya. The Standard has gone with ID cards. Taifa Leo goes with the fuel prices. Now Daily Nation goes with rape cases. Rape probe derailed after investigating officer is fixed over protests claims. They say it is a miscarriage of justice. 2 rape victims attacked 5 months apart in almost similar circumstances filed complaints at the Theta police station in Juja, Kiambu. But the attackers are still free because detectives from the Serious Crimes Unit of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations are preoccupied with tracking down suspected planners of Gen Z protests that the government fears are set for later this month. Hapo ndo wanashughulika. Kesi zile zenye zimetendeka hawana time ya hiyo. Wanatafuta Gen Z ndo wasiende barabarani maandamano. Tell you the priorities in this country. Kangata joins Linda Mwananchi as opposition leaders condemned goons. So yes, that move by Irungu Kangata the weekend, appearing at that thicker meeting by Linda Mwananchi, has sent ripples across the political landscape. Not just with the government, but also those in what they call the United Alternative Government. They're not so sure, okay, fine, maybe they expected Irungu Kangata to go their way. Sasa amenda Linda Mwananchi, what happens next? Another story given prominence on the front page of the Daily Nation, MPs lobbied to enact compromise finance bill. Public pressure is piling on MPs to drop offensive proposals in the finance bill as the National Assembly Finance and National Planning Committee is expected to table a report on the proposed taxation measures in the House tomorrow for debate. So maswala ya finance bill now wameanza kuzungumzia, and it will be one of the biggest discussions. Parents to pay the price for unrest in schools. We've seen that story on Taifa Leo. And diesel prices dropped by 10 shillings, but no respite on petrol cost. Watu wa petroli, mambo ni pale pale. Parents pay the price for student unrest is a story on page 2. Imagine, even as parents continue to bury the dead, those who perished in the Utumishi fire, now we're getting wale ambao watarudi shuleni because dormitories were destroyed, their parents will have to pay. Why teachers are retreating from the disciplinarian role. This was discussed also in Parliament with many MPs talking about a return of corporal punishment, a possible return of corporal punishment. Watu wapigwe viboko shuleni. Je, unakubaliana na hayo? That is one of the discussions now. They say changes in policy have left teachers with little authority, according to high school head teachers. MPs open to return of the cane in schools is there on page 3. Should we return the cane? Should learners in high school and primary school, if possible, be caned by teachers? Wakati wetu viboko vilikuwa ni kawaida. Unachapwa usipende, unachapwa usipende. All right. On the back page, still matters World Cup. They say favorites France play Senegal in a group at MetLife Stadium tomorrow. That will be a nice, interesting game. France versus Senegal. Morocco on to another special World Cup run in New York. And more than 80,000 fans watched that match, the one against Brazil, where Morocco, the African champions, as it is right now, whether you like it or not, Morocco are the official AFCON holders. Najua wengi wanasema ni Senegal, lakini kubali, kama walienda boardroom wakasema hivyo, wewe ni nani? So our African champions held Brazil to a 1-1 draw. That's the Daily Nation. Let's take a look at the Star. Fresh, independent, different. Tough economy plunging small businesses into loan reliance. Survey indicates sector employs over 80% of Kenyans. I would just want to see the connection between the loans and small businesses in a tough economy. So small businesses are increasingly finding themselves trapped between rising operating costs and shrinking access to affordable credit, driving a worrying rise in loan defaults and threatening Kenya's most important engines of growth. Remember, from the budget statement that was read, there's a budget deficit of about 1.14 trillion shillings, which has to be plugged through borrowing, mostly domestic borrowing, meaning that government will eat up a lot of the money that is on offer from local banks. So wewe kama mkulima mdogo or an entrepreneur may not be able to access loans. So how do you keep your business running if you cannot access this kind of financing? Because government has eaten up most of that. Interest rates are high, and businesses are now citing weakening customer demand, rising fuel costs, higher input prices, and tighter household budgets as key factors undermining growth. Watu hawana pesa mfukoni, so they're not even spending. Kama hauna pesa una spend nini? Na hauna hata deni ya kuomba. All right, so those are the main discussions. The main discussion on the front page of the Star. It also has images here of the kind of political activity that took place at the weekend. We have the president in Kajiado with the ODM party leader, Oburu Oginga. We have the United Alternative Government led there by Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, that was in Western Kenya. And the Linda Mwananchi team, which has the biggest crowd here, as they held that meeting in Thika yesterday, where Irungu Kang'ata, the governor of Murang'a, joined them. And I think that's a very interesting addition to that team. MCS dealt blow as new bill hands county chiefs spending window. This is about county budgets. MCS sasa watakuwa na shida pale, and I think this is one of those discussions we should be having probably later this week on matters county spending and what the counties can do. They say governors are set to enjoy a significantly larger recurrent expenditure ceiling in the coming financial year if a new bill before the Senate is passed. Bado ijapita, lakini anything can happen. On the back page, more World Cup news. La Roya favorites, that's Spain. They began the World Cup quest against Cabo Verde in Atlanta opener. That game coming later today. Interesting game. Somali ref Artan to be paid in full World Cup fee. The Somali referee who was blocked from the US, where he would have been involved in the World Cup matches, will now be paid a full fee. Whatever amount he was to earn at the World Cup, it will be paid to him in full. Remember, shapata deal nyingine kule Europe, he'll preside over a match there. So not so bad for him. Finally, as far as Kenyan dailies are concerned, Business Daily, central bank to lift caps on emergency loans issued to banks in distress. Makini schools post 60.7% net profit jump. Yani shule zina post profit. 545 million shillings in profit, Makini schools. Where? On the ticker, Treasury takes aim at biased debt payments. Kiki puts new capital target at 194 billion, and Kenya primed to reclaim edge as Africa's aviation hub sprint intensifies. There's only one more paper that we've not looked at from the Kenyan dailies, and that's People Daily. Wanasema nini leo? Wanazungumzia matters, technology and politics. So they talk about algorithms and deepfakes, the digital battle for Kenya's 2027 polls or vote, artificial interference, and I'm sure you've seen the use of artificial intelligence or AI developed photos. So watu wengi hawajui kweli kutoka kwa uongo. In fact, many are using even voices and placing their things that these people would not ordinarily say. Kuna shida. So that is the main discussion on page 4 of People Daily. Kenya boosts Ebola preparedness as quarantine facility debate intensifies. That's on page 14, and that's the only mention of Ebola in Kenya. And Kang'ata, new direction as he joins Linda Mwananchi bandwagon in Thika rally, also finds space. So I think that's the biggest discussion, political discussion today. Irungu Kang'ata at the Linda Mwananchi rally. Let's go regional now, and we start off with the East African, the weekly paper. Now, this one has brought together all the budgets of the East African countries that were presented last week on Thursday. So they say tough times for East Africa's taxpayers. With rising debt and shrinking funding from the West, states are looking inwards to fund expanded budgets, and citizens are in for a squeeze. So Kenya, of course, with the biggest budget there, 37 billion shillings, dollars, $37 billion. Tanzania comes second with 23.9 billion, Uganda with 22.5 billion, and Rwanda $5.3 billion. So Kenya is still the biggest budget And the deficit, we still have the biggest deficit at 5.5%, followed by Rwanda with 5.4%, Uganda 5%. Tanzania has the least budget deficit at only 3% of the national budget. Yeah, that's the East African today. Twende Uganda, tuone wanazungumzia nini. They seem to have moved on from Anita Among. Inside Otafire's fight with police, there's a retired General Kahinda Otafire, the former Minister for Internal Affairs. He did not have kind words about the leadership of the Ugandan police force as he handed over office to Ephraim Kamuntu, saying the institution is riddled with extrajudicial killings, but police say the claims are a blackmail. That story covered on page 4 and 5. It sounds very much like what we'd hear in Kenya about police. That's Tanzania, and that's the only paper we have from Tanzania. From Uganda. I beg your pardon, from Uganda. In Tanzania, we have both the Citizen and the Mwananchi. The Citizen talks about experts urging caution amid budget scrutiny. So in Tanzania, they're still talking about matters budget. Remember, all our budgets in the East African region were presented on the same day, Thursday last week. The Citizen continues with that discussion. In Kenya, we seem to have moved on from matters budget, but it is our main discussion today. Gazeti la Mwananchi kule Tanzania, wabunge mtegoni, wadau, masuala ya bajeti tu bado, mjadala wa bajeti, wadau watoa angalizo huku wakipendekeza maeneo nyeti ambayo wabunge wanapaswa kujikita kuyapigania. Imo mifumo ya ukusanyaji mapato, huduma za wananchi wa kawaida na gharama za maisha za guswa. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 4. Habari nyingine ya kutatanisha pale ni utoto wauzwa kwa 2,000 shilingi za Tanzania migodini. So children and child labor for only 2,000 bob, Ugandan, Tanzanian money, that's less than even 1,000 shillings in Kenya. In Tanzanian mines, they're using children for that work. Gazeti la Mwananchi kule Tanzania. Now those are the papers, both regional and local. Let's now take a look at the cartoons in our Kenyan newspaper this morning.